There we go. Okay, we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Night All. Be My Noise, and we're on the topic of deprogramming. What are you saying, Prescott?
What was the topic? I thought we were talking about 9-inch dildos.
Oh, God. Okay, stop the broadcast.
No, we were talking about deprogramming, and the discussion was around the idea of deprogramming, uh, obviously from a religious cult, but was it possible for other things to kind of qualify as cults that might not be religious that people would need to be deprogrammed from? And J Dubs was suggesting that perhaps political associations might qualify. Did I redeem myself?
No, thank you, Prescott. Yeah, you explained that too very well.
Well, let's define cult. I mean, usually it's one person, right, that's held in high esteem. They're a follower of this one person. They got all this power. I mean, this is why some people make the argument in a religious context that, some Christians would argue that Catholicism is a cult. I mean, I dare say that, a lot of Christianity can be cultish, when people are, gathering around this one leader and this one guy or preacher holds so much influence over their lives and, interpreting scriptures for them and stuff like that. But I think the most prominent example would be like, say, the Pope. He's held like a cult figure in a way. So if we're going to do it in a political sense,
Sharpton?
it kind of gets tough, unless, I don't know, many Obama nuts? I mean, whatever Obama says, yeah, it's okay with me.
What about Al Sharpton?
Al Sharpton, yeah. More, yeah. Community cult leader in a way. Despite what he had problems, not paying taxes and some stuff like that. Meanwhile, having all this property and some off, I don't know, another island or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's it's a bit sketchy as a character, I think.
Especially when you go around calling yourself Reverend.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that probably Jesse Jackson would be in a kind of in a similar camp, and not to suggest that it's only kind of left of center or Democrat organizers that do this. I think that the right probably does this as well. We just look at them differently if you tend to share their political views. So,
Yeah.
so do we have some examples of people on the right that almost have a cult-like following? Like,
Glenn Beck.
yeah, Glenn Beck is a good example. Rush Limbaugh for years has. Sarah Palin, a good example. Reuven.
Yep. Chris Christie.
Chris Crispy, the donut guy.
The donut guy.
Well, he looks like he's eaten a lot of donuts. And my favorite donuts are Krispy Kreme.
Since he's a larger mass, he probably has greater gravity and draws more people in.
All right, J Dubs, chime in here. You were the one that went down the political.
Status quo. Yeah.
I was just thinking of, within politics there are people that are set in their ways. It's absolute. And if you say anything contradicting, maybe that's not the right word. Going against the grain, it gets heated, it gets kind of nasty, and I kind of see that as sort of a dogma, sort of cult situation.
Sure.
Because I try not to be. I mean, I hope I don't have dogma and I'm not set in my ways. I mean, if I am, please.
I'm gonna I just started. I'm only a half an hour in this. This was interesting. Someone shared this. I don't know. I think it was in last night's chat. It was an old debate between Al Gore and Ross Perot. There's the link in the chat. I got halfway through it, and I saw Ross. I mean, because this is from '93, so I was in a totally different state of mind in '93. Now looking back at it, looking at body language as well, and the ideas of Ross Perot, I'm like, this guy was like almost prophetic about what was going to happen as far as NAFTA and the whole trade agreement, how unfair it was, and all that stuff. I mean, it's a pretty interesting thing. Pretty interesting debate.
Well, I'll have to check that out after.
Yeah. But it goes to show, I mean, hey, there was a cult following, right, in a way with Bill Clinton. I mean,
Yeah, and they tried to buy him some peaches, and he wouldn't take them.
you know what some of these other religious cult leaders said. I call them cult leaders. Um, people like Benny Hinn, Creflo Dollar, uh, Joyce Myers, these kind of people have like a cult following. T.D. Jakes, you know these guys I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I'm probably because I haven't watched much religious TV except for what TV the lady, the caregiver that we had hired, she used to watch Joyce Myers quite a bit, so I was more familiar with her shtick, and she always reminded me whenever I saw her. This is a terrible thing to say. But she always reminded me of Jack Nicholson's version of the Joker in the original Batman, because like she had this, she couldn't get expression on her face. It was like I don't know if there was nerve damage or Botox. Okay, not the original, but I mean the Michael Keaton version of Batman. I'm sorry, Ruben. Gosh. I thought Benny was in the room because everything was in caps, but no, Reuven's upset because I said something incorrectly about a comic strip-based movie.
Yeah. Forget about what's going on in the Middle East.
Yeah.
When it comes to Batman, I'm going to yell at you.
But when I was in the vineyard, there was it was very clear that nobody wanted any criticism of the leaders, whether it was on the larger scale like John Wimber himself, but even in the local congregations, like it was certainly more telling or more pronounced, which is what's the right word here. It was like I've been in a lot of churches, and I've never been in a church where people would visibly get distraught that you would even comment negatively about something. Because I remember one of the guys that was in the church. He was he asked my opinion. He used to be Brethren, and so they were very kind of strict Bible-based fundamentalists. And he had been in the vineyard longer than I had. But there was something that the local pastor had said in the Sunday sermon, and so this guy asked me what I thought about it, and I said I disagreed, and it was in earshot of another member in the congregation, and like literally was right in my face. You know, this is God's man. God has put him here for like I'm going. I don't like that. It really shocked me because I had at that point I had been there for probably close to a year, and I never really noticed that, but it was because at the time, you know, in the early stages, it's kind of like going out with a new girlfriend and everything's going great, but then it's kind of like the you know, things start to bother you that they do that didn't bother you before, and so you make a comment about it, and you know, then you start seeing those kinds of reactions, and so that was a real wake up call for me about how people were looking at the leaders in that particular church. So
Was he charismatic?
Yeah, they refer to them as third wave.
No, I mean the leader. Was he charismatic? Not the denomination, but just
Oh, I see. Okay. The local pastor, I would say not. In fact, there were two pastors, and they were both from Baptist backgrounds. They were both used to be Baptist preachers, and so they weren't particularly charismatic. But in retrospect, what I had not really noticed before was the emphasis in a lot of their teaching about pastoral authority.
Hmm.
And for me, it's kind of like I probably didn't notice it as much because I understood, at least from my take, I understood what I thought to be pastoral authority in other church situations, and so when I would hear it, I would kind of process it no differently than I would anywhere else. But it wasn't real, as I say, it wasn't until I actually saw how other people were responding to any kind of criticism of the pastor. This very I want to say militant, but it was only like militant in their emotion. It wasn't militant in like they weren't going to take and beat me with a stick or anything like that. But it was like it was just very. They were very angry.
Well, what's that? Yeah, I'm sorry. What was that scripture they commonly used? Do not like something like "Do not come against God's anointed one." They take that scripture totally out of context in the Old Testament. You remember the one I'm talking about?
Yes. I'm just trying to think of the context.
I'm gonna. Guess I'm gonna have to Google.
I'll Google it, and J-Dubs can say something.
Hey, no,
Something.
nothing.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? I was asking Reuven if he had a personal experience with dealing with a cult. Have you, Brother John? And I mean a real cult. I don't mean like Christianity in general or something.
No, no family member part of no cult, but you know they watch some of these same prominent figures I was talking about, and sometimes I fear whether they question enough what they're saying, the scriptures they're using, and that kind of thing, because. Yeah, I mean, I tell you, my wife listens to a couple of these people. I'm exposed to some of this stuff, and I hear what's going on, and sometimes it's hard not to make a comment. But sometimes I feel like, yo, you took that scripture out of context. Or, I got to make my own comment, but I'm not going to force anyone not to. I can't force someone not to watch something. It's not to a point where that person on the TV is controlling their lives.
So as long as someone critically thinks and questions, they're good to go. They're not in a cult. And welcome to the room, Grant.
Hey, Grant.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Welcome, Grant.
Hiya, John.
Yeah, I just let you know we're live. You should always be questioning, no? Right, John?
I think healthy questioning. I think healthy skepticism is good. Yes.
Sure. Grant, we're talking a little bit about deprogramming and cults and cult figures and stuff like that. You know, do we have, if it gets to a point where a person is, definitely, say, a close cult figure, you see that they're draining their resources and really, brainwashing them, taking time away from their family and work responsibilities, say, even to that degree. Uh, uh, do we have a right, or does a family member have a right to intervene to the point of to it being kidnapping to save him from this path?
Yeah, that's a complicated issue. When you say cult, I mean, are you defining all religion or just specific cults?
Yeah. Well, I guess in this matter, let's go with the more extreme examples. Like the Jim Jones and David Koresh and things of sort of that nature. Yeah, I granted we can go on a wider definition of cult. I would pretty much agree that a cult in some religions, the name is synonymous.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who's ever been, caught up in cult life. I think most of the people that get caught up in that cult life either, disappear or end up in some sort of tragic accident.
Ruben says in the chat that if Brother John started a cult, he would have joined.
From what I understand, though, I looked into the Heaven's Gate cult a while back, because I always thought it was pretty bizarre that a bunch of people would actually find somebody charismatic enough to, believe that they could, I don't know, catch a ride on a comet or something and go that way. And I thought, must have been a bunch of idiots. But as it turns out, every last one of them, if I'm not mistaken, was college educated. I mean, they were not dummies, is my point. So, where do you go with that?
There's definitely a difference between having intellect and common sense, right? or thinking critically.
Are you hanging up a picture frame, Brother John? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, what's that?
I heard like.
No, it's my cat scratching.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, we're taught in any kind of indoctrination not to question. That's the whole thing. You have to accept this on faith, and somehow if you question it, that means your faith isn't strong. So in essence, you're told not to critically think. And if you have questions that are critical of any indoctrination or into any cult, I imagine it's always going to be that same thing. Your faith is weak kind of a response, instead of, yeah, well, let me explain it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the pastor. He's got the answer for you. I guess this whole conversation started. This actually started with Rob because I think you were in that deprogramming chat thing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Because when I put the invite up for this hangout, Rob posted a link to a Wikipedia deprogramming. So this is kind of what spurred the conversation.
Yeah. Well, and he kind of went into cognitive dissonance, which I guess, if you have three people sitting in the same room and they all belong to different cults, they can't all be right. But each and every one of them believes they are right. And if you try to question them on the tenets of what they believe or what they've been told, they'll all fall back on this is just the way it is. This is how I've been taught. And questioning this is, you just don't do that. You don't need to because you have that faith. All three of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And why should I listen to you? You don't believe the same way I do, so you're just going to be deceiving me.
Exactly.
Which if they are, if they're inside that community, that usually works quite fine. I was going to say quite well, but I'll use the word fine. Works fine. It's really once you move outside of that community that the difficulty in, I guess, the difficulty comes when they actually have to deal with other information, which usually is kept from them when they're inside of those circles. So.
Well, yes, and I believe that for the most part, like religions tend to be geographical, so you're always going to be pretty much within the community of what your cult is, and it can be localized too. I mean, like within Christianity, for example, you've got your Southern Baptist fundamentalist movement, and that's always going to be pretty much in the South. I mean, if you go to a church in Alabama, chances are you're going to be surrounded by people that think just like you, that are local.
Yeah.
But even so, you can associate with the greater sense of Christianity, which is, North America, or actually, United States. I mean, if you're born in India, chances are you're not going to be a Christian. If you're born in Israel, chances are you're not going to be, a Southern Baptist. I mean, there's a huge geographical consideration.
Sure. Yep. Here's a thought. What about military?
What about military?
Well, just in like we say about cults or religions that essentially you are being asked to believe things based on the fact that a superior, in the case of a church, your pastor or a teacher of some sort, somebody in authority, said this is the way it's done, or this is the way we do it, or this is what you should do. And is that so dissimilar from how the military functions? I'm not saying that there aren't differences. I understand that there are differences. The military, it's kind of like or I don't know. Having not been in the military, maybe I'm really not the one to speak of this, but it just seems to me that there is an expectation that you follow orders without really questioning.
Yeah, we were never to follow an order that was unlawful, and anything that you felt was definitely an unlawful order, you would take higher up the chain of command.
Yeah, but even in terms of an order that you like, they tell you to do something and you think, well, there's a better way of doing it, and you want to do it how you want to do it.
No, yeah, that's definitely a no-no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that any pastor would ever tell somebody in their congregation to break the law either.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. but you might say to your pastor, there's a better way you could get this message out, kind of thing.
Yeah, and he might even listen to you, which in the military they wouldn't tolerate.
Exactly. I'm with you on that.
But I guess the difference might be that in the military, it's not like you have, and as I say, not being in the military, maybe I'm wrong, and you could tell me what your experience was, but were there particular military leaders or generals or officers that you, even before you went into the military or shortly after entering the military, that you kind of looked up to or thought epitomized what it was to be in the military?
Oh, absolutely. I still have some really, really good friends that are, well, some retired, some are still active, but yeah, it's a mixed bag of nuts. There's a lot of personalities, there's a lot of unique individuals in the military, and yeah, there are people that epitomize everything that is, good and poster quality about the military that, yeah, are that kind of shining example of what the modern military should be. And one other thing I was going to go with on that other topic is approaching people that maybe you have a better idea. There is access for something like that, but it's never, while the order is given or at that point in time. Sure, maybe later on when you're, relaxed off duty or something like that, you may approach the subject, hey, Sarge, whatever, I was thinking about what you did today, and do you think maybe it would be more effective to do this kind of a thing? But not in front of the guys, not during, assembly or when the order is given or anything like that. You don't question orders that way. And that wouldn't be considered questioning orders. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just the famous scene in A Few Good Men where Jack Nicholson is on the stand and Tom Cruise is cross-examining him and wants him to say that basically people follow orders or else.
Yeah, well, and for the most part, that's true. For the most part, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been given an order in the Marine Corps that I didn't consider not following. There was no order ever given that was, well, maybe I should rethink what's going on here. It never happened,
Right, right. So how did you escape the military cult? That's a joke. Sorry.
No. It's a fairly good question. There were a lot of things about the military that I really liked and would have loved staying in for, but then there were things that I couldn't stand and just had to get away from. And one of those things is, your superiors a lot of times just have more time in service. It doesn't necessarily mean they're better at what they're doing or they know what they're doing, especially in a military occupational specialty that requires more heads up thinking than it does anything else, like electronic troubleshooting or anything that has to do with it, like it would be in a regular job in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
If your boss doesn't know what he's doing at a company because, well, he came from the motor pool, but he got a transfer over here and somehow managed to get into the air wing and now he's dealing with highly sophisticated electronic equipment and doesn't really know how to prioritize what systems need to be handled to make everything operational. Yeah,
Right.
I'm getting way too detailed, but yeah, it's sometimes bad shop management with their current operating model.
Right.
Other than that, the rest of it, I loved it.
Well, it's kind of like church. There's lots of things about church that are very positive experiences, but it's at the end of the day, it still comes down to at some point, it still comes down to whether the basis of the thing is true or not.
Well, yeah, and I, for me, my opinion also, and I could be wrong on this, but it also seems what does the experience do to you as as far as your interactions with the public? Like, I mean, I know a lot of people that are Southern Baptists that are just hate-filled people. They're bigoted and they're just hate-filled against things that aren't like them,
Right.
and it comes out, but they feel it's normal and it's okay because it's accepted by the larger community of that faith.
Mhm.
It's weird. I mean, most of my life was pretty involved with the church. In fact, even in the military, I was a lay leader. But you never really see it when you're in the system. Well, I don't know. Maybe some people do. I never saw it when I was in the system.
Did you get Bible studies when you were in the service?
I did.
Can you remember any of the like most receptive ones?
No, you're talking well over 30 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, today what we're going to study is we're going to study the 4 resurrection accounts and discuss the dissimilarities between them and why it never really happened.
I think there's only 3, isn't there?
Well, what
Is it?
little is in Mark, you got to use it.
Yeah, I would have thrown somebody out of my group back then. They came at it with that attitude. I would have. I would have shunned him easily. You know what? You just go sit on the other side of the barracks. Piece of trash.
And you know what? You got latrine duty.
For Marines, it's always police. Go police the latrines or the head, actually.
Since you came in, Grant, did we discuss any of the political cults?
No, you have not.
Because I'd be kind of interested in your take on that. Just in terms of like the cult of personality with people like Sarah Palin or Al Sharpton, uh, Rush Limbaugh, Jesse Jackson.
Isn't I was just thinking, doesn't the military sometimes act as the interventionist of some of these cult personalities in the world?
Well, I think it's explained best to me that the United States military is there to, enforce United States policy. The Marine Corps obviously sometimes is used as an international police force, but yeah, what it comes down to is we're there to reinforce United States policy wherever it is, and oftentimes that, for better or worse, just makes us the bully. I mean, we don't go anywhere intending to be heroes or bringing about democracy in America or making life a better place anywhere. I mean, usually if the Marine Corps shows up at your doorstep, there's going to be a lot of Vulcanization. It's going to be rubblized.
Rubblized, yeah.
And I mean, that's really not in sync with the greater message that, yeah, we're, overseas spreading democracy, with 5.56 rounds and, nightly bombing runs. But that's what we do. We execute foreign policy.
Foreign policy. Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes there is good that can come out of having a large military that can respond rather quickly, like the hostage situation we had over in Grenada back there in the early '80s.
And the whole Iran thing with uh, what was it? I was going to say it was kidnapping, but it wasn't kidnapping.
There was the Iran hostage situation early on, which was what was that? That was under Carter. Was that under Carter's administration?
Yeah, it was right at the end of Carter's tenure, and just as Reagan was about to take office. And
Wasn't he in office like a month, Reagan, and that they got released?
Yeah. That's some people think that there was probably some
Intimidation there.
Yeah, I mean, some people say it was because they knew that when Reagan got in that he would take control, but there are other people who suggest that it was intentionally done to deface Carter.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, like most conspiracy theories, that it's just about trying to play both sides of any given argument. It has to be. There can't be a clear. There's never a conspiracy that's just one-sided.
Yeah. There's a cult leader for you people got Reagan, right? There we go. We didn't even mention him, I don't think.
Reagan's why I joined the Marine Corps. He loved his Marines, and the Marines loved Ronald Reagan. He was the one that said a lot of people at the end of their life have to ask, if their life meant something to anything. And he said, Marines never have to ask that question. So he was pretty quotable in that.
And JFK.
For my time.
Yeah, but even in terms of the way that he's almost deified.
Yes.
Which is kind of funny because it runs in my mind that the whole, like, prior to them getting into politics, the whole family was into corruption. It's like rum running and stuff like that. Wasn't that what the family was known for?
Yeah, his father made millions bootlegging alcohol during Prohibition.
Yep.
Isn't that wonderful that they're in bed with the politicians? Oh, ban alcohol so we can make money off of it being banned.
Not a bad racket.
Yeah, I think he had an ideal situation at the time too. I mean, he was running against Nixon, going after Nixon, and for his first shot around,
Yeah.
and Jackie Onassis Kennedy was a very prominent public figure at the time, and that did nothing but good for the Kennedys' cause.
Yeah. I'm just looking at Reuven's comment. I didn't notice that before. We are spreading democracy. We let the people vote with their feet where they get blown up. You ran, Prescott?
Yeah, more like put who we want in office, or we're going to just set up permanent residence here.
Oh, okay. I guess maybe if I read that when it was written, I'd get the context better.
I have to to the JFK bit. I mean, he is kind of like royalty, which is ironic because he's Irish, but I in my family, we're Irish. Irish
Have
Catholics.
problems with monarchy?
What happened?
The Irish have problems with monarchy?
Not in this particular case. That. But yeah, in my family, man, you hear things like, man, when are we gonna have a president like JFK again? It's kind of like, I don't know. It's interesting how people look back like that and want that. I'm sure there's someone that we know that has kind of a fantasy of another person that politicians. Reuven says at JDubs the Kennedys are actually royalty. Yeah, sure. If you want them to be.
Are you saying that they are related to some royal family, or is that directly or through marriage?
Again,
Directly. Okay. All right. How?
yeah, this is the first time hearing about it. I never knew Irish had royalty.
Yes, how? Show me the genealogy, Reuven.
Come on, Reuven.
Anyway, while he's typing that in,
While he's
I don't know. I kind of go ahead, Prescott. What?
while he's making it up. What? Go ahead.
I kind of have a soft spot for JFK though. I kind of think that he was a pretty good guy.
He got cut down pretty early in his career, didn't he?
To you.
If you want to call assassination cut down early in his life, sure, yeah, pretty early.
I'm just saying that was his first term in office. Yes.
Yeah, 2 years in or something like that. Yeah, halfway through.
Yeah.
And he already had Marilyn in the White House.
He was a good-looking man,
Hey, listen, yeah, despite all those, all the women he probably had in the White House, I guess, kind of, from some of the speeches I've heard from JFK, despite his adulterous behavior,
Fornicating.
and some of his economic policies, I go right on, and I think which kind of led to him being kind of assassinated, when dealing with the Federal Reserve and secret societies and that kind of thing.
Has Ryan snuck into the room?
Did he take over, Brother John? No.
I'm keeping my tinfoil hat on just in case I bump into that guy again.
Let's not joke around. There is something to it. You can't fire the head of the CIA and then expect nothing to happen to you. Come on.
I'm Canadian. I'm just really poking fun, really. Carry on, John. Don't pay attention to me.
Oh, I'm upset now. You hurt my ego.
Oh, okay. Once you've recovered, carry on. Hand him a hanky. That's a handkerchief.
A hanky, yes, I know what a hanky is.
Oh, okay. You didn't know what a garage was, so.
A garage. I knew what you were saying. Funny to me, a garage. He says garage, John J. Dubs.
I knew you were making fun of me.
Well, at least he's not as bad as garage, as the English would say.
Pretty close.
Do you guys say aluminum foil or do you say aluminium?
Oh, here we go.
Prescott, up in Canada.
Aluminium.
Okay, so you say it the right way. Okay.
Yeah, we say aluminum.
Okay, I found my picture now for this conversation.
All right, let's lay it on us. Let's see it.
We're waiting.
You don't see the picture in the... Oh, it didn't change. What happened? Oh. There we go.
Do I need to get my foil shield out?
Can you read it? Because I know it might. See, on my screen it's backwards, and I know it's probably read
No,
right
it's
by
right.
you.
It's right here.
Yeah, but it's backwards here. But, like that, I took that snapshot of him during the hangout.
I almost felt bad for booting him.
But yeah.
Hey, having a minority view is hard to defend, but that's like one in, a million view, isn't it?
Yeah, you mean with the whole flat Earth thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get on, okay, fake the moon landing, sure. There's a larger group than the flat Earth group, 9/11 was an inside job. Okay, you've got a larger group there, but that guy goes all the way down to, flat Earth, come on. There can't be that many people. You can put probably, I'm assuming, you could put all the flat Earth guys on the planet into one room in a house.
Which
Yeah, because
Did
the
we-
house is flat.
What the hell? What the hell happened? I thought we were talking about the Kennedys. What the hell did we run into again?
Because they're fun in my conspiracy theory about JFK.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
yeah, there's a connection.
Go ahead. You can believe. Okay. So you guys believe that it was a lone gunman?
Well, I mean, Grant's a Marine. I mean, he could tell you you can get off 3 shots on your Mosin Nagant rifle. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I'll be honest, I never studied anything about the Kennedy assassination. I haven't read any of the books, looked at any of the stuff. It just, it was already ancient history to me. When I was really young, there were people that talked about it and bought the books and, were into the conspiracy thing, but it never caught on to me then, and I never really looked into it as an adult, so I know nothing.
Look at YouTube. Look at the enhanced video, when they go take of the footage that day, and it's pretty interesting. I definitely think there was more than one gunman.
I do think there's something to it. I mean, obviously everyone knows about JFK having mob connections, and the guy who killed him, Oswald, was a radio host that did communist propaganda, and he was somehow connected to the mafia that JFK was connected to, and it's just so much to it. Like, how can you even know? How can you even get to the bottom of it objectively anyway, right?
I hear you. Yeah.
But I do agree. I think there was something over. I think there is something there. But hey, what can you do?
Yeah. It goes back to you always need a boogeyman, right? If you want to get some objective done, you need a boogeyman most of the time. You need a scapegoat.
Hey, Prescott, if you went back far enough, do you think it would be in the 6-week cycle?
What would be?
The Kennedy assassination.
I just hope that one day the Democrats will get back to the Kennedy like style. Ask not what your government can do for you, but what you can do for your government.
That's right.
I like that type of saying.
It's country.
I apologize. My JFK accent was a little rusty there.
It's country, not government.
Oh, was it? Oh, it's country, not government. Sorry, I apologize.
And I think there is a significant difference there.
There is. I do agree with that. Yeah.
I'll do a Ryan here. Governmental, govern your mind.
That was pretty good on the fly.
The word government does mean mind control.
should have went with the governmental, mental.
Mental disorder.
What governs our minds? Well, that's a topic.
Go deeper for me, brother John. Go deeper.
What are we allowed to govern our minds? What are we thinking about most? What is governing our lives?
Anxiety would be for me. Reuven posted the actual dynasty that JFK is supposed to be descended from. That's interesting, Reuven. Richard Andrew Pierce. Okay, he somehow found out that some castle in Desmond during the reign of Henry III. He's connected to the Earl of Limerick. Oh, so Irish, even Irish royalty, Limerick. That's in Ireland. If I might be wrong on that. Oh, cool. That's interesting, Reuven. Awesome.
Rob's got a hangout up called Jesus is no more God than Joe the Plumber.
That makes absolutely no sense.
I like it. That's a great title.
No, it isn't.
Joe the Plumber, man.
What?
Lay it on us, brother John. Lay it on us. Preach, brother.
Joe a plumber, though?
What?
Wasn't Joe a plumber?
Well, I think Joe the Plumber was that guy that came into the political spotlight briefly there for having his wages redistributed. I don't know if that's the same guy Rob's referring to.
I know it's become like a saying for like the,
Generic for any man.
like a blue labor worker, blue shirt worker,
I think it's just a representation of the any man because he's a plumber, but he also owns his own business kind of deal.
But he's a plumber. He was a plumber. I think he was a plumber. So the title doesn't apply. If he was a plumber, he was actually a plumber. The title doesn't.
I don't know. Somewhere in there, maybe in Mark or Luke, wasn't Jesus a plumber?
No,
I'm just saying he did everything else.
he's a carpenter.
Jesus Christ was a polymath. He was a master of many trades.
Well, he had to be, right? Wouldn't he have to be?
Say that again, brother John. Sorry, I stepped away for a second. What?
If Jesus is God, right? Wouldn't he have to be not only the jack of all trades, but master of them as well?
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh shit! Oh god, I just thought of some crazy oh god, I feel like a funny joke. Oh god, oh god, I mean, did Jesus build his own cross? Did you tell him how to build the cross? No, guys, it's this way. You want to hang me right? Let me show you how it's done.
Oh man, I'm over here eating fried chicken. You made me almost choke on the chicken bone.
I saw that movie. Well, by no one get. Oh. Yeah, I saw that. Choked your chicken? I made you choke your chicken, Reuben says. You're crazy.
What's that other joke? What's the difference between a pitcher and Jesus Christ? It only takes one nail to hang a pitcher.
It's only one nail to hang a picture. Okay. I don't want this to turn into a Jesus Christ special.
Yeah, that's not.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you up there. Sorry, Christian.
You know, it could be argued that our friend Rob actually is kind of has a cult. I mean, if you think about it, he follows the Gnostic Jesus. He knows the teachings, of the whatchamacallit, Gospel of Thomas, and he's all in on that, for better or for worse. I mean, that in essence is the foundational philosophy of any given cult. And if he picks up adherents or people that also want to, learn the teachings of the Gnostic Jesus and have that wisdom imparted upon them, you have the birth of a cult right there.
Well, as you mentioned it, yeah, Rob posted on the thread here for this event. He was kind of doing advertising for his book. Oh, anybody needs deprogramming, and gives him the link to the Wikipedia and his email and his book, and then because Rob's asking, do you know anybody who needs deprogramming, and then Prescott actually did answer him and said something to the effect, I know somebody.
I hate to ask this, but are there people who follow Rob religiously?
I don't know.
We have a gentleman that comes in to hang out once in a while, Brandon, and he said he used to like Rob and hang out with Rob, but he eventually broke that chain. He finally got out.
You guys keep coming to my room.
I like you, John.
I'm a nice cult leader.
In spite of your woo, you're a really nice guy.
I have to say, Brother John, you got good hangouts, man. They're good.
I try. Thank you.
And you usually get decent people in,
Well, not everybody's invited to the party,
Oh, good. Oh, oof. Oh.
I mean, that's not the case always, I gotta say. Because, hey, I like a good train wreck once in a while, too. Come on. I used to love watching, that's one of the, oh man, just brought back a childhood memory. Addams Family. When Gomez, he had the train set, and he always make him crash. I used to love that shit.
Yeah, that was always on back to back with the Munsters in my city.
Yep, exactly.
And of course, I liked both the oddball characters from each show, Fester on one and Grandpa on the other.
And I'm thinking, the show, would it have the same effect in color as it did in black and white?
Actually, you don't want to know the answer to that question. It turns out that the Addams Family living room is all pink.
What? So it would show up better on the film, huh?
It's exactly. It had to do with the way the colorization came out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
But seeing it in the daytime in color, it doesn't even look like the same. It looks like a high-end whorehouse.
then it must have been pretty tough to act with that if you having that pink thing there, right? Because you want to be on a set to kind of get you in the feel of it. You know, you want to feel like does take some definitely. That's where the acting ability comes in. I guess it's no different than acting in front of a green screen. You know.
Wait, actually, I'm not sure if I'm thinking of the Munsters or if I'm thinking of Addams Family. I couldn't tell you which one that is that's pink, looking back. But it was one of those two. I think it was Addams Family.
Well, I would have had it right if you didn't kind of break it up there, John.
He was off on the timing, wasn't he?
He kind of messed it up on me.
No, it's the hour delay here in time. You know. So.
So, just briefly going back to Cult of Personality, you know, that isn't that in a larger sense kind of part of America's entrapment in general? I mean, a lot of the youth and a lot of the people that try to be hip really kind of get on board with, you know, the clothing and music and whatever's, you know, popular in Hollywood at the time. I mean, that's kind of, in a sense, although not totally philosophically, it's still kind of cultish, yes?
Yeah, you mean the kind of hero worship that celebrities get?
Yeah, in a sense, yes.
Yep. Yeah. Which do you think came first? Sorry, John.
I was making a joke. I said it's a conspiracy. Let me get my tinfoil hat.
I'm actually wearing mine.
What do you think drives people to do that, Prescott? What's your opinion?
That causes people to look to others or idolize others?
Yes. Good way of putting it.
Well, I don't know. I think
Put
that
people up on a pedestal.
Well, yeah, but it usually has as much to do with how they see their own lives, and significance. And one thing that all celebrities have is they appear to be more significant, despite the fact that a good lot of them have not done anything significant except for be on the big screen, which I guess is no small achievement sometimes. But
Or what's considered doing something significant?
Well, I guess.
Please tell me what the Kardashians have done that's significant.
Go deeper, Prescott. Go deeper.
Well, I think that the people that are attracted to people like the Kardashians see the very fact that they have notoriety as a measure of success. Like that in itself is the success they have.
Would you say that that's kind of part of the American dream? I mean, we hear it in music, and you know, it's part of the culture of our movies and everything else. Anybody can go up and be anything they want. Being famous is what it's all about.
And so when people don't achieve that, they at least can believe in the dream because they see other people achieving it.
Live vicariously through your idol, right?
Yep.
Don't you be talking shit about Kim Kardashian, by the way.
Reuven says in the chat, I think we should plant explosives in TVs. If you watch the Kardashians for more than 15 minutes, the TV explodes.
Well, it's like they say, stop making stupid people famous.
Yeah, but about some other famous personalities, you know, that people who have of fame, who are actors, comedians. Let's just take Robin Williams for as a matter of case, an example. I think is significant is his comedy, right? It makes us laugh, laugh at ourselves, laugh at each other. It's a significant contribution. Some of his movies have been inspiring, right? I think these are significant things. And some, of course, yeah, you got your trash, you got it and everything. But I think there's a good side to it as well. But I think the problem, like you're saying, I mean, thinking that being famous is the end all of all, and this is what people are steaming to, and the illusion that this is going to be, you're going to be happy if you're famous. Yes, that's used. It's used for marketing all these musicians and artists and actors. It's all part of the business too. Is that image and selling that image and selling it to whoever's going to be most influenced by that, that kind of marketing. And it's usually people who are still in the midst of just finding their own way. We all, when we were younger, right? I mean, speaking, not too much to say those, but Prescott, Grant, we're all about the same age. We could look back and see us idolizing musicians and stuff, and you go buy the T-shirt and buy the CD, watch the show that they're performing on, all that stuff, wear the clothes.
Yep. I remember the first season of Happy Days. How many kids were wandering around in junior high wearing Fonzie T-shirts?
Oh yeah, I remember wanting a leather jacket so bad because of that whole thing. Everybody was getting leather jackets,
Yeah, but it's marketed. I mean, it's not just follow the dream, but you can achieve this, but knowing that you're not, they'll still market the gear at you, So you can still be like whoever it is, that you wanted to be.
Man, wouldn't that be great, Brother John, if you had stock in like a leather making company, put money into it, and a week before that TV show came on, you could have been a millionaire by now. Billionaire, I mean.
I was only like 10 years old, I think.
Still put money in the stock market. Why not? Shit, I know. I have neighbors, dude, that are so rich their kids have a stock portfolio, man.
Well, what they did is the CEO of the leather jacket company was a co-producer on the show, and they wanted Fonzie to be wearing one of those university sweaters with the big letter on them, big letter A on it.
You're going in with native advertising on this?
Yeah, and so the co-producer says, no. He's wearing a leather jacket.
That must have been it.
So
that's why the credits always clothing provided by blah 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 and there's their edge in there all shoes provided by Nike.
You think is it because they're programming though, or they're just cheap bastards and they don't want to pay Nike for the uniform, so they just.
That's what all the producers do. They will put in X amount of money to fund a project. They get their product into the project.
I see. Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, that's why the stars that are always drinking a Coca-Cola in a movie have the label facing right at you.
Yep, always going to see that Nike logo.
Yeah, it's product placement, and somewhere along the line, there's a one level or another of a producer that's involved in that product placement.
NASCAR, prime example.
Well, that's a sponsor-driven business.
Now, not entirely related, but one of my favorite TV shows is The Good Wife. and
Oh, great show.
yeah, very well written. And or were you being sarcastic?
No, I watched that show religiously. Fifth season just ended just a few months ago.
Yeah, yeah. And so, oh, you were gone? We didn't know, Reuven. Sorry. Um, um,
Yeah, because I saw your face sitting there in the chair, and then you stepped away, and I didn't see anyone at the desk.
uh, anyway, one of the things that I started noticing was they're always drinking coffee, but if you watch them, of course, there's no coffee in the cups. But Chris Noth is really bad for this. Is that if he has a coffee in his hand, it's moving all over the place as though he's not holding anything. He can't control his hands, and there's no way that the coffee would stay in the cup with how much he gestures with his hands while he's holding this cup of coffee. It's quite funny. It's quite noticeable once you realize that or once you catch it. It's kind of like you can't not look at it after that. Yeah, I know. It's a compulsivity thing. I can't help it. I used to be a member of nitpickers.com, I think is what it's called. Nitpick.
Why would you admit to that?
It's just the thing, I watch a movie and I see something that clearly was a bad edit, and you have to go see if it was posted under that movie on the website, and if it wasn't, then you have to add it to the entry, so you can see a complete list of just all of the small little mistakes that are in TV shows and movies. It's just, you watch enough of it, that's normal.
Yeah, I understand. It was
No, you don't.
on a just tangent of that, just kind of struck me as funny. I remember it for a while there when TV programming was first going online. I think it was NBC or CBS Online. I can't remember which. They used to, they would put the episode on during the day that was on last night of like CSI or NCIS or whatever it was.
Right.
And you'd have a group of like, 10 or 15 people would be watching it and commenting on it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and they only allowed that to go on for about a month. I mean, it's just that TV shows in general are so poorly written. The plots and everything are just transparent and just awful. And, we still watch them because it kills an hour at a time, and obviously if you're watching it, it's because you don't have anything better to do, or there isn't anything better on, and to sit there and we would just the tear down. I would feel bad if the writer of the show would have tuned in at any point.
Well, I watch like even Game of Thrones as great. I think it's a great series, but even with Game of Thrones, I'm watching it on my iPad when I'm driving down the road, and I'm here thinking to myself, if I ever recorded some of the stuff I say as I'm watching this, because there's just so much stuff that you can make fun of, even on something that is like as entertaining as a Game of Thrones.
Oh, certainly.
Oh yeah. So. And yes, I do talk to myself while I'm driving.
That's healthy, actually. So don't be ashamed of that.
Not so much ashamed. I just know that people look at me strangely. But the great thing is, I occasionally will tilt my head over as though I'm talking towards my iPhone, which is kind of perched up there.
Okay, for that I actually would say seek help. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. It's okay to have an imaginary friend, apparently.
Hey, Grant.
All right, maybe we should cut the live broadcast, turn it into the zoo now. Just joking.
No, we're just we'll get to the good stuff eventually. Not that there's anything wrong with this. A thought that I had heard a thought I had earlier before I had to leave to take the phone call was I'm trying to remember. There was something that somebody said that made me think of this. So maybe if I say it, it'll make me think of what it was. When I was in Romania,
The home of the gangsta.
the home of the gangsta, uh, I had a conversation with someone over there, and I was surprised that they said that there are a number of people in Romania that wish they were back under communism. And the reason why is that under communism, they, there's still this kind of, like, there's almost like a nostalgia that now exists amongst younger people there when they hear how, like their grandparents, like everybody had a car, gray, everybody had a job, everybody had a home, everybody got vacation, and everybody got health care. Now, it may have sucked, but okay. Yes, Reuven, I know. Thank you very much. But the thing is that the disappointment that a lot of them now have in what their idea of capitalism was makes them actually think more fondly of what they had been taught for a number of years to despise, which was communism. And it's kind of, and in that sense, I suppose they're no different than some of the people who look to even politicians here as kind of like believing that they have solutions to their social and economic problems, and if we just vote them in, they'll look after us, and we'll get a phone, and our rent will be paid, and things like that. And anyway, it's but it did kind of make me. There was something that was said earlier that made me think of that that story, and I thought, like, it surprised me, because I know that that period of time has always been described quite bleakly, and that people are now kind of looking back with any kind of warm, fuzzy feelings is kind of bizarre. Anyway, that's...
What you were talking about kind of reminded me of this picture that I always see people put around. It's basically it says prisons, liberal paradise. Everyone is treated equally. Everyone, free food, free medical care, and only the police and guards have guns. I think that's what you were going for with Romania there, Prescott.
Yeah.
I think the chinchillas are horny or something. They keep barking. I don't know.
Your
Kinda weird.
chinchillas are barking?
I call it a barking sound. I don't know what sound it's considered, but
I don't know either. Oh, I can hear them, yeah.
maybe Ruben the text master knows the.
Bark is correct.
I'm not sure what it means though. I mean, I can't speak chinchilla. I don't know if they're hungry, they're horny. I don't know.
Let them loose. They'll let you know.
We used to let the chinchillas run around the room, but they chew so much. They like chewing on wood. So it's like the trim, the trim on the bottom of the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you see like little chinchilla chewing marks.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah.
I have a friend, he has a couple of cats. And you go over to his place now, and it's like the furniture's clawed to pieces. The wood trim around the doors is all clawed to pieces. It's just horrible. Oh, Ruben says that the chinchillas are asking for a hug. Isn't that sweet?
I'm still looking for that scripture, but
What scripture?
from earlier about
Touching God's anointed?
don't touch God's anointed one.
Okay, Psalm 105.
Oh, you found it.
I did post it.
Oh, I missed it. Sorry.
That's all
Psalms
right.
105. Psalms 105. But there was another one I saw.
Just saying hello.
Huh?
There they are. Psalm 105:15. Do not touch my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm. But there was also the occasion when David was hiding in a cave. How many do you have?
12 at the moment.
Hold on, you have 12 chinchillas?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
12 of these little rug rats running around. Yeah, could you imagine?
You let them run around your house?
Sometimes.
Doesn't that get messy?
Like I said, they like to chew. They're not messy. They just like to chew.
Oh.
Well, are there chinchilla droppings around the place, or are they pretty good at going to the litter box?
Chinchillas can't control when they poop, actually. But they're dry. They're little dry pellets, so it doesn't make a mess.
Oh, so kind of like rabbits.
Exactly, just like rabbits, yeah.
Okay. Although I think rabbits probably have a little more control. I think you can teach them to go to a litter box, but they're more like cats. I think you can. I think you can breed cats and rabbits. I think.
What did you just say? Breed a cat with a rabbit?
Yeah, can't you breed a cat with a rabbit?
I don't think so.
I think you've been hanging around too many evolutionists, Prescott.
I think evolutionists would argue against breeding a cat and a rabbit.
Cat.
Yeah, that's right, Reuven. They're considered rodents. chinchillas are rodents.
So this is kind of like an urban myth that I'd always heard growing up. I'd never seen one. It's like
Yep, urban myth, definitely.
Yeah, like it's like the two wolves story there.
exactly.
You have he has his two wolves, and you have your rabbit and cat.
Yes, but I never knew the Two Wolves story was not Cherokee until I actually looked it up. So I mean.
Oh, wow, Prescott, you actually educated yourself on the bullshit that you were being spoken to about? Oh, wow.
Sure.
I don't think people do that, do they?
I don't know. I do. I'm always Googling, always using Wikipedia, always if I have any question about something. Yeah.
DJ was trying to be a funny, make it funny.
I couldn't hear you there, Brother John. What, you all right? You're a bit
All
low.
right, I said you were trying to make it funny.
Oh, yes, correct. Yes, I was trying to be funny.
I thought Brother John was talking to his teddy bear.
Ha ha. No, I don't talk to my teddy bear. I talk through it.
You channel?
So what did you do today, Grant?
I was out in the woods gathering samples.
I don't want to even want to ask.
Well, I'm getting ready to turn a quarter of my yard into, food forest next year. But I'm trying to plan it out so that it's all in fungal growth. I don't want to have any bacterial-based plants over there. So to start changing the soil content in the yard, I need to get some mycorrhizal and just various different elements that'll start prepping the soil for me. And most of those I can find out in the woods, but it's dragging in 4 inches deep of soil in areas where there's good wood decomposing and the right kind of fungus that's in it, and then laying it in the grass in specific areas so that it can start turning the lawn for me, and then bringing in some woody content to keep the process going. And I'm going to have to make a certain type of compost and compost tea to bring all the microbiology into play and really get that churning like a factory. And then hopefully I'll have all that soil ready for next year to plant in.
Wow.
Well, you asked, J-Dubs.
Sounds good. That's awesome.
It's a process.
And here I was going to make a joke saying he's looking for some mushrooms. About saying.
Got plenty of mushrooms out there, all different kinds. Including chicken of the woods.
First time I had portobello's barbecued. Tasted just like barbecued pork chop.
Portobello burgers is a big staple in my diet.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Anyone you want to invite, bring them on in. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, post it, room. Why not? It's time for you animals. Come on in, even though we have 0 viewers.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
So, Prescott, let's ask you that. What did you do today?
This morning I went to see my doctor, and then I
How did it go?
well, I suppose it could have went better. I mean, I wasn't surprised
You want me
by.
to, you want me to stop the live broadcast?
No, there's nothing.
Did they actually take heed to what you were saying, or did they just dismiss it?
Oh no, it's the usual. Um. Yeah. Reuven wants to know if we want the link posted, or did he already do that? I might be late to the draw there. No, the blood work came back, and the only thing out of whack was my blood sugars, which I already knew. And thyroid is fine, and cholesterol is fine. So tried to discuss just he wants to put me on medication for the blood sugar, but I told him to give me 3 months, and if in 3 months I couldn't get it under control, I would agree to medication. But I just had a shitty 4 months, and that I don't think has helped. Between stress, lack of exercise, and poor diet, probably didn't have help my sugar level at all. So I'll knuckle down and address that. But yeah, about the other stuff, as far as the drugs they got me on for blood thinning and all that, the anticoagulants, you can't even talk to them about it. And they don't want you to talk to anyone else about it. So anyway, I wasn't surprised, but what I might do is I might actually, a friend of mine goes to see an alternative therapist, so I might check that out.
Well, kids, I hate to bail on you early, but I'm gonna head out of here.
No problem.
Where you headed, man? Anywhere interesting?
Well, I hate to say it, but another hangout. This is just,
Okay.
I got people over there that are banned over here and blocked or whatever, and it gets complicated.
Which hangout's going on? It's all right. Which hangout's going on?
John Mays.
Oh,
of course. Enjoy yourself, man.
Yeah. You guys be good. Have fun.
you too, Grant. Thanks.
All right. I'll stop.